Well, if we're looking relaxed and refreshed, it is because we are relaxed and refreshed, courtesy of England deciding not to have a training session today. The winners of the T20 series and the winners of the first ODI, India, did have a compulsory training session at 5 o'clock this evening. India had the day off, so maybe we'll use that as a starting point. We're very grateful for the fact that we did get some downtime. It was a long day yesterday, and it's been a long tour in terms of travel, not in terms of cricket, Steve Harmison.
Yeah, I must admit, I mean, I was surprised when we heard that England were going to have not so much a day off, because sometimes it can be counterproductive when you keep getting beat or things aren't going as well as you'd want. Sometimes it is a good thing to get away from it, but like I've said in previous podcasts, how England have lost, I struggle to understand, especially with the Champions Trophy coming up, that you just have a complete day off, or you not have a voluntary, a compulsory one. England don't do compulsory practices under McCullum. You know, it's them that want to work on their game. They go and work on their game. And I mean, what have we had this series so far? We've had 5 T20s and a one-day international. It's at 340 overs, combined overs, and I mean, that's probably a full Test match. 3 3/4 days of a Test match. That's a full Test match for England. Ben Stokes' team, they win or lose Test matches.
As you say, it's not 4 days of a Test
in
match.
3 3/4 days. So, I mean, it's not that being demanding on the body point of view. I think it's been demanding technically. I think it's been demanding mentally for some of them. And I think, well, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and say you should be going practicing, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But where England are with a week or 2 weeks to go before a Champions Trophy, number 11's batted 6 times in 6 white ball games, 5 of them T20s. Something's not right. Something needs addressing. And people lying in their room, playing on a golf course, sitting playing on a PlayStation, possibly lying by a pool. Is that going to solve it? Hey, I'm just questioning what a lot of people will be questioning, that there's something not quite right and clicking with this team because they're playing against one of the best teams in the world in their own back garden. You could argue it was their B side in the T20s. It's their A side in the 50 overs. And yeah, look, like they did before, they might come back and ram this straight down my throat and win here. And if they do, I will praise them to the hilt. Good on them. Go for it. But I'm I was a little bit surprised to hear that not one person trained, especially where there's 15, 16-man squad, and you're getting beat effectively 6-0 so far. 5-1 in a six-match series so far. That, yeah, I was a little surprised.
There does come a point on a tour, usually longer than this tour, where training and practice becomes counterproductive, when it's really not going to help. This just doesn't feel like one of those moments. Anyway, Chetan Narula, let's move on to India. You've got a lot of guys, talking about big squads. The Indian squad is 17, including Jasprit Bumrah, who's due to play in the third game, I think. I don't know whether you, fingers crossed. But guys like Varun Chakravarti, who terrorised England in the T20 series, and I suppose also when you're playing really well and winning, you sort of want to hang on to that, don't you? You sort of want to go and practice rather than have a day off.
Yeah, and I think India checked off a lot of boxes in terms of their preparation for the Champions Trophy in that first ODI. You look at Mohammad Shami. I was at the domestic game earlier on in January where he was playing for Bengal, and he did not look in that much rhythm. Seemed like he wasn't bowling at full tilt. The Mohammad Shami I saw in the first ODI was really pleasing to the eye, and that's the Mohammad Shami we know of. So, look, we don't know if Jasprit Bumrah, fingers crossed, again, we don't know if Jasprit Bumrah is going to make it to the UAE, but if he doesn't, then India does need Shami in full tilt. Arshdeep is there, Harshit Rana, again, brilliant second spell to come back after that 26-run over. So a lot of check boxes ticked. Ravindra Jadeja getting those wickets. Akshar Patel showcasing that you don't always need a left-hander in the middle order when Akshar Patel's around. So a lot of check boxes ticked. But now we need to discuss what is the final squad they are taking. Rohit Sharma in the pre-series conference said that Varun Chakravarti, after his great showing, was a potential candidate. You can change around your squad till February 12th. Will India bring about that change? I'm not sure, because this combination that they currently have with Washington Sundar, Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav, that's the ideal fit for Rohit Sharma, and that's the fit that he wanted earlier on as well. I remember in the 2023 ODI World Cup, he desperately wanted an offie all-rounder, really. So the choice came down to Washington Sundar and R. Ashwin, but Sundar hadn't really played a lot of cricket in the build-up to that World Cup, so they went for Ashwin. So now with Washington Sundar fit, he's in form, he's done well across formats. His reintegration to the Indian side has been on a good starting point. So will they change that around? I'm not really sure. But if you want to test wares, you might as well do it now with those two ODIs that are remaining. Yeah.
And also, just to come on, to keep going on the point from a training point of view, and you mentioned India have got 17. England have probably only got 14. If you look at it, they've got a 16-man squad here. I mean, they kept Rian Ahmed on off the back of Jamie Smith's injury. Jamie Smith's not fit. So I'm expecting, and we haven't got the teams yet. Normally England, when they train, they normally name the team day before a game. They haven't named their team just as of yet. They might before this, this podcast goes out. But I'm expecting one change. Mark Wood will come in for Jofra Archer, and that's a workload issue. England haven't got the tools to change the top order up because they haven't got people here. There's nobody here. Their batting spare man is injured, and in Jamie Smith, and they'll not want to risk at this point jeopardising Champions Trophy potential selection by playing him or bringing him back too early. So this is what England have got. So as much as I am saying, why are they not training? They're probably not training because they haven't got a big enough squad to say, right, we've got players to rotate. I've got players to come in. Mark Wood, Jamie Smith. Try to think of who else didn't play. Jamie Overton. Does Jamie Overton come in? I mean, that's a big ask. Does he come in for Bryden Cars? So there might be possibly two changes, but I'm expecting just one change, and that'll probably be Mark Wood for Jofra Archer, and that's a load thing. And then we might see Wood and Archer play together in Ahmedabad, and I would imagine Archer will come back in for possibly Saqib Mahmood because they'll be looking after him as well.
I read somewhere that they're getting a week off before they go to Pakistan. That won't please you either, would it?
I don't mind having time off. I really don't. I mean, I was critical of England when they came out here for the tests. When going back to Oman or Abu Dhabi, wherever they went, and preparation. You come to India, you've got to be involved in, and you go to the Champions Trophy. There'll be similar scrutiny in Pakistan than what there is in here. It's a similar environment as well, as in the culture and everything that goes with playing a major tournament in India or in Pakistan. I mean, there's no way you can go and hide. This is you're in the cauldron. If you're mentally weak, and if there are weaknesses in there, you'll get found out. I just wonder in the last 6 games, is that what is the problem?
One man did go to the ground today, and that's our producer Scott Taylor, who's behind the camera, and he said that about halfway to the stadium there's a massive billboard on the side of the road advertising a fertility clinic under the headline, "Are you struggling like the England cricket team?" So at least there's advertising opportunities. And it was also Scott's productorial eye that thought would be a good idea to have the life ring in the background because England are in need of a rescue. Liam Livingstone, you've spoken enough about, so I'm not going to ask you to speak specifically about Liam Livingstone, but it was his performance in the first ODI that leads to the question, what is ego? Your old mate and our colleague on talkSPORT for a long time, Matt Pryor, is presenting in studio for TNT on television, and he echoed your sentiments, and he said, is it not possible just to put your ego to one side? And it struck me that a lot of people might think, well, what did his shot have to do with ego? England are in trouble, and he's playing for the team. He's running down the wicket to the fast bowler and trying to hit him for 6. I know that's, well, you explain it.
Yeah, playing for the team, having faced 9 balls and struggled for 9 balls, run down the wicket and hitting the bowler for 6 is fine if there's 10 balls left in the game and you've got a big hitter to come in and you've got somebody batting brilliantly at the other end. England were in a little bit of trouble. England had about 25 overs left in the game when that happened. I think what Matt Pryor and the ego is, you've got to earn the right to score runs, especially against good bowlers.
And with shots like that.
And the good bowlers, the good bowlers find weakness, especially if there's something technically not there, if there's something mentally not there. And there's a possibility of all them things, and I think that's what Matt's alluding to. And when you look at that, I don't want to keep having a go at Liam, but in ODI cricket, in 20 over cricket, numbers 5, 6 and 7 are game changers. They're winners. If you've got a gun 1-2 who can get you off to a flying start, then your 5, 6 and 7 have arguably, like in Test cricket, number 3, they've got to be your best players, because they're the ones that have got to adapt in certain situations to play a whole host of ways. Whether you are 25 overs left from the game, to set up a grandstand finish, knowing that there's 3 bowlers who can't bat at the bottom of the order, and you have to buy some time, or you have to carry on, and you go, if there's 10 overs to go, and the top order's fired, and then you've got to then go ego to one side and try and run down a wicket and hit balls for 6 and 4. That's what good numbers 5, 6 and 7 do. That's what I think Matt Pryor is saying, and that's what I've said for the last 3 days.
You spoke about the fact that you're going to Pakistan straight away from India. In practice, in theory, it should be, good run-up, good build-up towards that particular tournament. But if you look at the past 6 innings, it just occurs to me that, the names that you want really to stand up for England haven't really done that. Harry Brook, everybody goes gaga over him, and he has really struggled in India, especially in these conditions against the spinners. Will he have a change of mindset in Pakistan, where he's had so much success? You have the regulars really standing up. When I say standing up, putting in the runs, putting in the wickets, not really putting in winning performances, apart from that one T20. Josh Butler with some runs, Archer with some wickets, Adil Rashid with some wickets. Bryden Cars is the only bright spark of the new names that have really come to Indian shores. That, for me, is a big concern for England. A, because their record in India isn't that great in white ball. We saw, or we read out on radio the other day, that 84, 85 was the last time they won an ODI series here. So even in the future, that really doesn't inspire too much hope. But now, looking in the shorter term, you have New Zealand and South Africa playing in Pakistan. That's a good preparation for the Champions Trophy. You would think, for England, this is also a good preparation, but it hasn't really turned out that way.
No, it hasn't. And again, I'm going to try and defend. I'm going to try and see both sides a little bit. We might just not be good enough. Have we thought of that? That's it. Look, I look. You know the research I do and the book that I've got, and I try and go through all stats and everything that comes. Right? India have got 5 players that bat in the top 6. I think 3 of them average over 45.
They could have 12, though.
Yeah.
They've got 12 contenders who could bat in the top 5.
But what I'm saying is, I think 5 of the top 6, 3 of them average over 45 in ODI cricket. 2 of them average over 55 in ODI cricket. We've got 2 players that average over 40. We've got 2 players. England have got 2 players that average over 40. Ben Duckett and Joe Root. Josh Butler's there. He's 39 point something else, right? So I'll give him that. So we'll give that. That's 3. They've got match winners. We're not, and this is the thing that I might have to look at myself when I am critical. Matt Pryor might feel the same. I don't know, but we're not 2019 world champions anymore. That generation team has gone. Are we going through a transition and thinking, are these our next best? John Norman said to me on the Following On podcast at the end of the game, and mentioned the likes of Liam Dawson, the likes of Will Jack, Sam Curran, James Vince. I put them all into this boat. We just might not be as good as what India are at this moment in time. They're players and other teams around the world. In 2019, we had and I'm not saying he's a ridiculous captain and Joss is not a good captain, because I think Joss is learning and he's becoming a decent leader, especially now in the field. But the likes of Moeen Ali's not there anymore. He's massive for us.
Okay.
You have Jason Roy at the top.
Yeah.
Biggest one.
Johnny Bairstow.
The biggest one. And Johnny Bairstow, but the biggest one. We haven't got that Ben Stokes, who batted at number 5 in tough situations. Batted 9 balls. Doesn't run down the wicket and hits one straight up in the air. He bats 120 balls for 80 in a World Cup final and sees his team through. Gets 49 in a World T20 final on an indifferent surface in Melbourne. against a good Pakistan spin team, sees his team through. That's what I mean by the numbers in one-day cricket, numbers 5, 6, and 7, or 4, whatever the combination is in that middle order. Maybe it's just we're not as good as we think we are.
Harmy, I don't think that there's any doubt that England are not as good as India. And in such circumstances, in sport, as you very well know, is if you can't be as good as the opposition, at least be as good as you can be.
Yeah. 100%. I can't disagree with that. And I think that's something and that comes back to what I said straight at the end of the game. Our messaging in all formats of cricket, and it's even filtering down. Right, try and play with freedom. Basically freedom. But what is freedom? At this minute in time, a lot of our talking about playing with freedom is recklessness. I mean, we do sometimes look reckless.
Yeah.
We do sometimes look frantic.
Freedom includes hard work.
Exactly.
Final word from you, Chetan. You can talk about Virat Kohli if you like. We can't go through a pod without talking about Virat Kohli.
Or Rohit Sharma.
No, we can. We did Rohit Sharma yesterday.
We tried hard. Look, if India has a wish list for tomorrow, it would be to see Virat Kohli on the field, of course.
Who does he play for? Surya was supposed to be left out.
Yes. So that's the big reveal from the first ODI. Isn't he on record saying that he only played because Virat Kohli was injured, and he was told late on the previous night that stop watching your movie, go sleep.
And he made 59 off 34 balls.
And I was surprised because Shreyas Iyer at number 4 is perhaps locked in for the future, given the way he performed in the ODI World Cup, given the way he's just been performing off late. So that was really surprising. It just showed perhaps the mindset that they really wanted to bring in or blood in Yashasvi Jaiswal ahead of the Champions Trophy and just see where the top order really is, especially because Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli are struggling for form. I think that was a key acknowledgement of that. So again, tomorrow Virat Kohli comes in, I think, for Yashasvi Jaiswal, because now you can't leave out Shreyas Iyer. Shubman Gill, again, you can't leave him out. So will you leave out Rohit Sharma?
Maybe India are going to ask you if they can play 12 against 12.
Surely you've got to play.
They did that in the T20s, didn't they?
Yeah, if you've gone down the road of saying Jaiswal's going to open and Iyer's not going to play, surely Jaiswal's going to play all 3 games. Because you've at the start of the series, you've set your message out, right, you're playing. So that means he was earmarked to play all 3 games. So one of the middle order must miss out if...
Yeah, one way to do that is to say that, okay, and tell Shreyas that you are in the number 4 plans for the Champions Trophy, you are keyed in for that role. But now for this series, because we need to blood in Yashasvi Jaiswal, we're giving him that run of 3 games. They could go down that road, possibly, yes. But again, like I said, tomorrow I would want to see Virat Kohli take the field, Rohit Sharma take the field, and I would like to see runs from them in the build-up to the Champions Trophy, because like we mentioned yesterday, it's high time. It's high time for that.
All right, early to bed, early to rise before the second game. The stadium's about an hour and a half's drive away, so we'll catch you tomorrow on Sunday for the second ODI. Every ball live and exclusive on talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.